All right. Welcome everybody to our webinar series. I'm letting people in. We're going to start in probably a few minutes, give people enough time to pop in. In the meantime, feel free to put in the chat your name and where you're viewing this right now. We got Andrew from SF. We got Tia from Tallahassee. Brian from Alabama. We got our host Miguel. He's in LA right now. A lot of people tune in from the Cali. Pretty nice.
I guess we'll start it another minute or so, or should we
Yeah,
start?
we'll give it another minute. For everyone that just kind of tuned in, we're gonna give folks just a minute, one more minute to come on in, and then we'll start. Feel free to drop in the chat your name and where you're coming in from, and feel free to use the Q&A button if you have any questions throughout the presentation. Feel free to use the chat. You could put your questions in there as well. There are also caption options if you click the captions button on the Zoom menu, if you need that as well. All right, Miguel, I think our minute is up. You can start when you're ready.
Okay, cool, awesome. Okay, so hi everybody. My name is Miguel Angel. My pronouns are he, him, and his. I'm currently located in Los Angeles, California, and I am the Climate Investment Associates here at our Green for All team here at dream.org. Sorry if I've sounded a little jittery. I'm a little nervous, my first time, but I'm really glad everybody's here. I'm really glad everybody is joining us today. But basically, what I'm going to do is be presenting a sponsorship that we did with Indeed, where we basically developed a paper about finding barriers to a green economy. So this is the presentation that we made. We hope that this is some information that folks can basically take here and take to their organizations and spaces and use it to basically, keep pushing for a green world, keep pushing for a more fair world, keep literally pushing for a world that is literally habitable for everyone, not just for few. So, all right, let's go ahead and get started. So how to meet the moment in the green economy. So we're going to explain first to folks, what we do and why does it matter. So first of all, we're dream.org. So we're an organization that we dream of a world beyond poverty, pollution, prisons, and polarization. It's basically for us, our whole motto is that for all of us, not just for a few. So that's basically who we are. That's basically kind of the work that we do. So in our organization, we separate into basically three different factions. So in this faction specifically, we have our Green for All leadership. So basically, these folks are our folks that help us in every way to really establish a green economy, a greener world, basically anything that, helps the environment, helps basically us stop the climate crisis, any of those type of issues. So these are basically all folks that are part of dream.org. So basically, yeah, they're our fellow coworkers, but we design our teams in a way where we all kind of like have put ourselves in three different factions. So this is our climate investments team. So this is the team that I'm part of. So first is our Green for All, and right under it is climate investments. So first of all, I want to give a major shout out to my whole team. So obviously to Jackie, who's our climate investment national director. Ooh, love Jackie. Mira, awesome. We love Mira. Myself, Miguel Angel, nice to meet everyone. Alana, again, amazing. And then part of our team as well, we have two fresh new hires. So we have Iman, who is our senior climate investment associate. and Loretta, who is our Green for All program assistant. So basically, this is our team. This is the folks that, if you ever basically want to act with us or work with us, this is the team that you'll basically be dealing with. Sorry. Okay, cool. So these are our goals. So each basically team has different goals. So I'm just gonna quickly go over them. I don't want to give you guys too much text and whatnot, but we want to promote thought leadership through creation of research publication and equity frameworks, focusing on IRA implementation to impact where money flows. 2, collaborate with the Coalition for Green Capital to ensure equitable implementation of the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund, as well as work with private financial institutions to inform equitable green capital allocations. 3, collaborate with agencies, track agency accountability to Justice 40 and inform agencies on equitable program implementations. 4, work with state governments to inform equitable program implementation and create a pipeline for federal climate funding. And last but not least, 5, establish feedback loops with transformative communities and dream entrepreneurship network to ID challenges in program design and implementation that require regulatory solutions. So overall in all, our climate investments team is always focused on these 5 things. So our big thing is basically to make sure that any type of federal climate funding goes to marginalized communities, goes to communities who have historically been excluded out whenever these type of laws, whenever these type of resources are basically being, spread and basically given to folks. So a big aspect of our team as well is our government affairs team. So the role of our government affairs here at Dream.org is to basically manage Dream.org's bipartisan interactions with government bodies, officials, and agencies. And we manage these relationships and strategies at the federal, state, and local level. We are a resource to the entire enterprise, including our external partners. So basically, that's literally what our government affairs team folks do. And we basically work with them very, very closely because a big aspect of us is dealing with obviously federal funding. So it's always a big thing for us to really interact with government affairs, basically have these type of conversations to kind of be like, hey, like, where is this money going to? How do we try to convince this politician to put this here, or, or green light a certain project or whatnot. But basically, that's what our government affairs folks do. So these are just some pictures, just to let you know like what they do. So they're always consistently traveling. They're always consistently meeting any literal political body, a literal political person, just to basically, push for our Dream.org missions and goals, which is a greener world, a more just world, a world where everybody can, live in a habitable planet. So the key responsibilities of the government affair teams are basically, mostly what you kind of already imagine. So policy advocacy, relationship building, legislative strategy, access and navigate political environments, coalition building, training, organize lobby days and events, and internal communication. So on the picture on the left is our government affairs team. Ooh, we left them. Okay, and then this is just kind of like, so they wanted us to share to folks like these are the tools that they use, things that they use to manage, their relationships, how to track like lobbyists and whatnot. So they use this, and we wanted to basically show to other folks like, hey, maybe other folks don't know this, maybe folks, possibly need better tools. But basically, this is kind of the things that they use to help track all these type of federal fundings, these conversations with politicians, literally anything that you can imagine, obviously, with government affairs. So where are we now? Everybody's like, okay, well, all this jargon and talking, okay, where are we now? So right now, we are here, right? So we're here at basically right here in 2024. So IRA was signed into law by President Biden on August 16, 2022. And in 2023, government agencies worked to build out the new programs. Obviously, we had a big role to play with that as well. A lot of agencies reached out to us and kind of figured out like, hey, we need equity frameworks. Hey, we need how to find these ways to kind of deal with the money and whatnot. And then secondly, so in 2024, the funding is going out. But we have to ensure that it does go to disadvantaged communities. So one big thing that President Biden included with all this type of federal climate funding is a Justice 40, meaning that any type of federal climate funding has to basically, sorry, y'all, my puppy, has to basically go to at least 40% of disadvantaged communities. Excuse me, y'all, 1 second. I am so sorry. Give me 1 second, y'all. My apologies. Oh, okay, sorry about that, folks. Okay, so basically with all of this happening, our big thing is that the funding should basically be going to marginalized communities. These communities need the money the most. Because, for example, one big thing is solar panels, right? If folks want to add solar panels, one big thing that marginalized communities need extra money for is to also fix the roof. So Justice 40 kind of focuses on those type of situations. It focuses on those type of literal things that are problems for folks of everyday life. So it's important for us to really focus on these type of goals and to make sure that all that funding really does go there. Okay, cool. So the IRA, basically what it did was provide $27 billion of climate financing created by the IRA. So there's three funding pools. There's Solar for All, National Clean Investment Fund, Clean Communities Investment Accelerator. So all the 27 billion is split into those different funds. So depending on what exactly you want or what exactly you want to do, you basically got to pull from that funding. So with all of this, we can literally create a greener future for everyone. So one big example that dream.org does is that we had a North Carolina convening. So as you can see, there's a bunch of pictures. So what we do is that we basically pack the event with insights on federal funding sources, technical assistance opportunities, green workforce development, any collaborative partnership building for climate projects. We also brought in government officials, basically brought in community-based organizations, business owners, entrepreneurs, nonprofits, financial institutions. This convening basically brought everyone together to basically put ourselves on a plan or create frameworks where we're focusing on a greener and equitable world. So the background. So with our partnership with Indeed, we basically helped create a what we call a white paper, basically a research paper where we kind of help explain, what are these barriers? What are these things that don't let us, get there? So obviously with climate change, and we already all know this, it exacerbates weather like really, really bad. And obviously we know that the most people who are going to get affected are marginalized communities. So with this, the green economy is growing rapidly, offering significant job opportunities, especially with the Inflation Reduction Act. The Inflation Reduction Act is basically set in stone. So we have that funding there. Now it's just a matter of literally moving that funding. So with it, this is kind of basically what we broke down. So the executive summary of the paper. So as the climate crisis intensifies, it will disproportionately affect marginalized communities. So the green economy also presents a growth opportunity in our economy. And it also provides an opportunity for us to not leave out those marginalized groups. So there is an urgent need to create a workforce pipeline for stable, well-paying green jobs and businesses. We also provided a Spanish one, so I'm gonna go very quickly, but we wanted to, obviously let folks of every kind of language to kind of just get this information. So la crisis climática se está intensificando, afectando desproporcionadamente a las comunidades marginadas. La comunidad verde presenta oportunidades de crecimientos, pero los grupos marginados quedan excluidos. Es urgente que creemos canales de empleo para trabajos y negocios verdes estables y bien remunerados. So with this partnership, we were able to basically create this paper. We were able to also, we're also working on another type of presentation where we're going to present to government officials. So one big thing that we're working on is basically working right now to present it in front of Booker, Schumer, Mike Lee, Lindsey Graham, basically all these different type of federal agency folks, just to basically present this information and let them know like, hey, these simple barriers are very easy to remove. And they're very things that we can just put and implement, and it will literally fix this type of problem. So one big thing that we saw with all of this is that there is a lack of exposure. So marginalized groups obviously have only access to certain types of jobs. So when there isn't an exposure to understand like, hey, how can I, get a better job? And they don't, for example, see, hey, they can go into training for solar panels, training for geothermal, heat pumps, et cetera, et cetera. This actually provides people the opportunity to actually go train and actually find themselves a better job. So just the lack of exposure itself is already a barrier. Secondly, inaccessibility of training programs and financial constraints. So one big thing too is marginalized folks tend to be poor. So it's very hard for them to pay any kind of job training, any kind of schooling. It's extremely difficult. You either have to get multiple jobs, get a loan, credit card debt. The excuses are, as you can imagine, numerous. But point here is that the inaccessibility of it all is also a barrier. So there should be a way where folks can know that these programs didn't exist and should be free or at a reduced cost. So with this, with this intersection with mass incarceration exaggerate barrier, so one big thing that we also want to focus on is prison job training. So right now, there's some prisons that obviously do that. They do some type of job training. But one thing that we want to definitely push for is to push for more job trainings that are greener. So not only will it give folks the opportunity to, train, educate, learn a new skill, but it also gives them an opportunity to finally have a well-paying job, a job where they don't have to force themselves to do things, of criminal activities or whatnot, but it actually gives the folks the opportunities to live a positive life, to actually, have self-reliancy on themselves. So the Black and brown entrepreneur pipelines into the green economy. So this is kind of the one thing that we kind of figured out in the paper with the research paper, and we're really trying to focus on. So collaboration and partnerships. So really what we need to focus on is fostering collaboration between established green companies and underrepresented entrepreneurs. So one thing is we already know there's multiple green companies out here that are basically doing the work. They're doing the work. But it's very difficult for us to really connect these orgs to communities that desperately need them. So it's a matter of just trying to figure out, hey, can we connect this group? Can we connect these folks here? What about this? What about that? It's a matter of just establishing those type of connections. Secondly, feedback loops with government agencies. So we're going to uplift businesses' voices in federal spaces and hold agencies accountable for small businesses' procurement goals. So with this specifically, one big thing too is that a lot of government agencies, if we don't really push them, they won't regulate. So one thing is that we need to encourage them to always, back up small businesses, especially in the fact with their procurement goals, and actually hold these agencies accountable and making sure that the funding goes to the correct people, that the funding actually goes to marginalized groups. Because if we don't start holding them accountable, then we basically don't start seeing the money go where we want it to go. And then lastly, so resources and guidance. So amplification of the Department of Labor's Good Jobs Initiative to guide workers, employers, and the government to improve job quality. So already the DOL already has a pretty good, as you can see, it's on the slide, the Good Jobs Initiative. It's basically a guide. The guide just explains to you how to basically literally help workers find greener jobs, help employers, find tax breaks in certain type of special projects that they use or whatnot, but it has to be basically related to climate funding. And then finally, overall too, with when it comes to the Department of Labor and trying to hold themselves accountable, but they also need to improve job quality. And one big thing is with these new green jobs, they're quality jobs. They're jobs that not only pay well, but they're jobs that basically give folks a brand new opportunity for a whole new life. So with this, we hope to bring this research paper and really just spread it all around. So these are basically a few of the events that we want to sort of hit that we'll basically dreamed out or will be there present. We're going to obviously show up, but we want to always make sure that when we show up like this, that we want to provide that paper. We want to let folks know that, hey, this is information that we have. This is information that we think is very crucial. It's very simple. We have very simple steps that we can do that can already create such big changes, because that's one of our big things. To really do small, the increment things to have a big systematic thing, to have a big systematic change. I'm sorry, because all those little things are going to add up, and it'll become to a point where everything changes. So we want to use all these events to basically help spread that information, help spread that paper, and literally just have conversations with other organizations for us to figure out how best we can work together. So this is so far the data and metrics of our white paper with Indeed. So if any folks are interested, we are more than happy to basically send that link out. I think Tori, yes, Tori did. Thank you, Tori. You're so amazing. Tori sent out that link. If you please, for anybody who wants to read it, please go ahead. Please open it up, download it, take it with you. We think it's a really, really good research paper, especially because a lot of the solutions are very simple based, but they would lead to great, great systematic change because that's really what we want. We want systematic change. So, and it's bigger than saving the environment, right? So, my big thing is like, well, for me personally is like, if we don't have an environment, we really don't have anything else. But for me, this is actually a twofold because not only we do save the environment, but we also empower communities that have been historically excluded. So we all know especially in the history of the US, a lot of the times when these new laws or these new policies pass, a lot of the times the folks who are excluded are always our marginalized folks. So folks that basically never have the opportunity to do these type of programs, folks that never knew these programs existed. So I think for us, it's just a double whammy. Not only do we save the environment, but we also empower our communities. So a big thing about that is obviously with the racial wealth gap. So just going to give you some quick technical jargon. So the median wealth of Black Americans amounted to 44,900 or 15.8% of the median wealth of white households, which was almost at $285,000. So as you can imagine, from 44,000 to 285,000, that's a lot. That's a huge gap. So in comparison to the medium Latinx Hispanic household, it only compared to 61,000. So again, that's still a huge gap. And one of these reasons that we can conclude as to why these gaps exist is the access to good quality paying jobs. If folks aren't being paid well, folks can't save, folks can't, invest, or folks can basically, deal with their credit card debt or deal with certain type of bills. When folks have money, things will get paid, and then folks will actually, have and live better lives. So the green workforce. So green jobs, especially green businesses, they offer economic mobility, of course, absolutely 100%, but a lot of the times they lack diversity. Most of the times you would only find white folks in these type of organizations, but in reality, the US isn't just white folks. We're an array of people. So it's just as much as a representation of the country, it also needs to be a representation of those businesses. So one big strategic effort needed to bridge skill gaps and yeah, to just promote inclusivity. So this is an example of us kind of literally saying that we need to work with these organizations slash businesses and figure out, well, why aren't you guys hiring more diverse qualified candidates? Because they're out there. They don't exist. They're out there. It's just a matter of connecting them together and making sure that, they're having a conversation. They're making sure, oh, we want to hire this person. So it's literally a matter of just making sure that those things exist. So big thing of the paper that we found and that we're always going to keep pushing is about a training and workforce pipeline. So there is an urgent need to increase training opportunities and workforce pipeline, mainly because technology as we know it is always improving, especially with solar panels, especially with geothermal, heat pumps, anything that we can just think about that's climate related. All those technologies are improving every day. And it's also important for us to have people that know what they're doing, but that they're also trained for those capacities. So one big thing that we want to keep pushing is to basically push a pipeline. So a way of like, hey, like if somebody is interested in, let's say, being a solar panel technician, then there should be a program for them where they could basically do it either full-time or part-time. Those opportunities should be present for anybody who's interested in doing this. So another big thing is on-the-job learning and apprenticeship programs are crucial for skill development. So some folks are already in these fields, but because of skills, they can't really go to the better quality paying jobs. So one big thing is on-the-job learning. So most organizations slash businesses already do this, especially when it comes to new technology, especially when it comes to something that they need to change in their systems or whatnot. But it's just a matter of them learning on the job. And the best part about it is not only they get paid, but they also learn a new skill. So I think that's a win-win for everyone. And then third is the partnerships between stakeholders essential for success. So I think it's also important for us when we talk about these things that everyone here is a stakeholder, right? The business, the worker, they're all stakeholders because like I said before, without the environment, we have nothing. So the business owner has nothing if there's no environment. The worker has nothing if there's no environment. So we need to make sure that folks understand that not only this is a collaborative effort, but it's also an effort of like, hey, we need to make sure we're on the same page with this, because without the environment, without a habitable planet, there's nothing to do. There's not a lot for us to basically do at this point. But basically, the research paper is a big push, pushes this for, sorry, y'all, word vomit. The research paper pushes this specifically because it believes that it's a great, great, simple solution that will lead already to a great systematic change. So one big thing too that Indeed is already doing, that is working on this, is called their equitable job search and hiring. So one of the things that they do, which personally I liked and I was learning with this research paper, is that they do two areas of focus. So one, skill-based hiring for the roughly 2/3 of Americans who don't have 4-year degrees. So one big thing is a lot of U.S. citizens, or a lot of folks in the U.S., excuse me, have skills that don't necessarily reflect to a bachelor's degree. And we're living in a world right now where bachelor's degrees really just get you into the front door, but it's more of a way for us to actually now, instead of just focus on bachelor's degrees, we should just focus on, I mean, we should also focus on skill base. Because a lot of the time, skill based, they actually have the knowledge to, maybe do the solar panel technician, to be a geothermal technician, or et cetera, et cetera. But they actually have that ability to keep training and working on that. Secondly, fair chance hiring for the 1/3 of US adults who have criminal records. So we already know this as well. It's very difficult for you to find a really good paying job when you have a criminal record. So with this, the fair chance hiring, what they do is they basically specifically ask in Indeed's, when they're asking for folks, when they're posting jobs and whatnot, to always include a fair chance hiring clause or opportunity, to let folks know that, hey, that, just because you have a criminal record does not mean you should not apply. You should definitely apply. Keep applying. You know, it's we should be basically giving everyone a fair chance to be hired. So with this, it's a part of their environmental, social, and governance commitments. So it's basically helping find everyone to find work while also reducing their carbon footprint. So Indeed and Dream are working directly with each other in a partnership where we directly support job seekers who are facing barriers in the workforce. And by increasing outreach and providing accessible upskilling opportunities, green jobs can benefit communities of color and employers alike. So with this, with all of these tools, it can basically benefit not only the community, but also the worker, but also the employer. So it's important for us to always think about these things, because when everybody has an opportunity to literally work a fair paying job, communities improve, life improves, people feel happier. So I think it's important for us to always focus on these type of things. So one other big thing that the research paper goes about is project labor agreements and community for workforce agreements. So one of the big things that we like about this is that they prioritize local hiring and equitable workforce development. So our thing is more of, yes, everybody should definitely can be hired anywhere and whatnot, but we also do believe that folks in those localities, folks in those local areas, folks who live there, should first have that opportunity to, get new skills, to basically find a better new job. So that's one big thing that we basically also agreed with heavily. And then federal funding should also be tied to community hiring and training initiatives. So one big thing with the community workforce agreement is that federal funding can be easily tied to this. It's just a matter of adding it. And some folks can ask, well, how, Miguel? How, Miguel? And how? Well, with Justice 40 and its commitment to the 40%, to making sure that 40% of that federal climate funding goes to marginalized/underserved communities, this can easily be a thing where you connect it together. So one, the funding is, like I said, the funding's already there. It's just a matter of creating these type of documents, creating these type of contracts, creating these type of agreements where you basically tie it together and let folks know, like, hey, this federal funding is tied to community hirings and training initiatives. That money needs to go to specifically to trainings. That money needs to go specifically to hiring community members and whatnot. So the key takeaways. So the green economy presents vast opportunities for job seekers, governments, and businesses. And secondly, intentional collaboration is essential for addressing green skill gaps and advancing economic equity. So when we talk about this research paper and when we learn that, these barriers, right, about how us creating a type of pipeline, this is what we mean about us always trying to connect with folks, always trying to connect with government officials, trying to connect with nonprofits. We need to create a type of network or a type of pipeline where the federal funding is easily connected to all the things that we discussed, right? About training, about getting folks aware of programs that they can easily get into. So it's just a matter of trying to collaborate with these groups and creating that type of framework, creating that type of pipeline. So financial support and target investments. So scholarships and grants needed to facilitate access to training programs. So this is one big thing that leads to the last slide. Again, some folks can't afford to, start a new training program. They can't. So a great way to basically connect this is to connect it to scholarships and grants, because then it gives the worker the opportunity to not only learn a new skill, but also, uh, obviously, not go homeless, not go without food, not go with electricity, water. So that's really important. Targeted investments in disadvantaged communities are also essential for equitable economic development. So of course, we already know this as well, right? So marginalized, underserved communities tend to not have that much equitable economic development. Um, so we can go on as to like why that exists, but one thing that we need to focus on with this federal funding is we need to target those investments directly there. So my favorite example of this is you can look at, so I live in South Central Los Angeles. It's a low income community. So one of the big things that the city of LA is doing, and again, it's kind of like, and it's literally tied with the federal funding, is solar panels on schools and basically changing concrete. So I don't know if anybody knows this. I'm gonna just do a quick little story. So there's a certain type of concrete when you hit the heat, it gets really hot. So you create this phenomenon called a heat island. And a lot of schools here in Los Angeles have that type of concrete. So again, if it's too hot, it's also too difficult for students to learn. So with it, it's important that at the time when LAUSD and the city of Los Angeles were working on this project, what they did is basically just targeted the schools that were in the most in the most low income communities. So for example, since I live in the low income community, the school next to me actually was improved with the concrete and actually added the solar panels. So it's again, a lot of times folks think, oh my God, like, well, how do we create this? How do we do this? It's just a matter of having a conversations with these folks, letting them know the different things that we know and how we know it affects people, and say, hey, maybe we can do this differently. Hey, maybe we can invest here. Hey, maybe we can focus here. So it's a matter of having these type of conversations and making sure folks know and understand what are these problems and what are the solutions for this. So let's make dreams real and let's do it together. So let's connect to learn more. So personally, I just want to say thank you everybody for joining. I believe there's like 2 more slides, but here is my email, my name, my job title. If anybody wants to connect to basically have a conversation on anything, I am more than happy to have that conversation. Dream more than anything, we love to collaborate. We love to talk to a vast array of people because we believe to solve this issue, we need everyone. We need all hands on deck, because if we don't have all hands on deck, it's not going to go well for all of us. So we want to do a quick spotlight. So we have here at dream.org, we have this thing called a Dream Entrepreneurship Network. So what it is minority-owned green businesses that promote representation and opportunities. So all these CEOs basically commit to us that they always want to hire from disadvantaged communities because they want to foster economic improvement. So this honestly is something that when I first was hired here, I was so impressed. I was amazed. So if anybody is interested in joining, if anybody's interested more in finding out this information, again, please email me. Please let me know. I believe Tori, yes, I think Tori also put some information. Thank you, Tori. You're amazing. But yes, basically, please let's have a conversation. Let's talk. Let's meet up. Let's have a Zoom. Let's have a call. And especially if you want to know more about our Dream Entrepreneurship Network. So want to open the doors of opportunity into the great economy for your community. So we want to ask all folks here to join our latest campaign, which is called Banking on a Green Future. So specifically what we do is we just advocate with others for the continued support of clean energy projects to protect their funding, educate and inform skeptics, turning naysayers into supporters by highlighting the successful impacts of clean energy on local communities. And three, defend against attempts to undermine or redirect funds for green initiatives, ensuring that these resources are used as intended to benefit sustainable development. So that's the kind of three things that we focus on. And again, it leads into the conversation of again, we need to have conversations. We need to collaborate. We need to create these type of frameworks and pipelines because if we don't, no one else will.
I could talk about it too, Miguel, if you'd like, because this is my baby. Hi, everybody. I'm Tori Soriano. I'm the digital organizing manager at dream.org, and I'm specifically working on this campaign as part of our advocacy team. So I'm one of the pillars that Miguel talked about earlier. And so first off, I want to thank him and the work that the climate investments team have been doing to create these opportunities, these systems in place, having these meetings with important stakeholders, agencies, because if those systems aren't in place, we can't work for systems change. But this particular campaign is about grassroots efforts, people power, because as it's already been hinted in this presentation, if we're not having these conversations, if we are not advocating for these funds to reach our communities, historically, these funds, these opportunities will pass right by us. And so I'm building a team of climate conscious folks who are interested in either adding other advocacy tools to their tool belts, or maybe never had the opportunity to be an advocate for your own community, or you're just interested in seeing clean energy come to your neighborhoods, to your disadvantaged communities. I invite you to sign up for this campaign. We will be, you'll get the education and the research, or the opportunities, the trainings, all available to help support this change into your community so that we could see clean energy projects be brought into your state, into your local areas. And so I'm going to put the link here if anyone's interested in signing up. Let me drop that in right now. Join the Banking on the Green Future campaign. We have a campaign call on June 18th to kind of launch this and to introduce it to other folks who might not be familiar with the federal opportunities that were presented today. So I invite you to join that. And we will also be having a lobbying training. So I was mentioned earlier in the in this presentation of how important it is to be able to have meetings with these policymakers, with these legislators, so that they don't turn down these projects or remain to be skeptic of the opportunities that are available to our communities. And so I invite you to join these trainings and join the campaign so that you too can open the doors of opportunity into the green economy for your community. And if anybody has any questions on that, feel free to email me. I'll drop my contact information in the chat as well.
Cool, cool. Awesome. Thank you, Tori. I really appreciate that. Okay, so I guess for the last 20 minutes or so, because we have reached the end of the PowerPoint, I also didn't want to like keep jarging y'all with, more text and more info. But I also feel like it's important for us to, have conversations. So if anybody has any questions, comments, concerns, please send it right now in the group chat. We can, have a conversation about the White Indeed paper, the research paper, or if you want to know more about DEN, our Dream Entrepreneurship Network or whatnot. But yeah, so if anybody has any questions, send them right now through the chat. Okay, I'm gonna just give folks another 20, 30 seconds just to see if there's any more questions. Oh, Sarah asked a good question. Do you also inform timelines? So, Sarah, what do you mean? What do you mean by timeline? Are you saying so basically like, hey, if we're saying like we want this solar project to go from this day to this day, we need it to happen? Is that what you're asking?
And feel free if it makes it easier, you can come off mute and say your question.
Yeah, yeah, I was gonna say too. It does make you. Okay, okay, perfect. So one of the big things is, for example, here, what's a good one? Okay, so Justice 40's big thing is 40% for all marginalized folks. So it's just a matter of really connecting that to that funding. So that's the way how you enforce it because the policy and the legislation is there. It's literally in there. It's in the IRA text as we speak. Like certain money needs to physically go to marginalized communities. It has to. So it's a matter of literally just connecting that and just making sure that those type of language and all of that is really in those type of agreements that are working with those type of communities. I hope that answered your question. And then I see Mark has his hands up.
So is supporting in marginalized communities, natural places, forests, and so forth, which of course is much healthier. Is that part of the green economy?
I'm sorry, Mark. Can you repeat your question one more time?
Is that part of the green economy where we restore accessibility to nature in
Oh, yes, absolutely. Okay, look, a big thing about this too would be if we do focus on a greener economy, we do save the environment. We reduce our CO2, our methane, and all that good stuff. So when folks definitely have these type of opportunities, folks have more free time. This is a fact. When folks have better jobs, they also have more time to do things that they want. And a big thing about this is when folks have, more time, they actually go and let's say, for example, hike or go to a state park or go to a national park or go camping or go to the beach. So it's literally a matter of just kind of understanding that a lot of the times most folks don't do this because they don't have the time. They don't have the money to go to a national park, to go to the beach, to spend the day at the park and just really be with the trees. So a big thing about this is like when folks have better lives, they 9 times out of 10 will also be, going out more, literally being into nature and whatnot. I hope that answered your question. Okay, well, before I go to the next one, I did see that David, yeah, what opportunities for collaboration do you envision with CDFIs? Can you remind me what CDFIs again? The Community Development Financial Institutions?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So basically, honestly, it's a matter of connecting with them. So a lot of the times, I think when it comes to the whole climate crisis, a lot of people get freaked out as like, well, how do we do this? How do we stop this? To me, it's always like you need to first have a conversation. You need to meet with these people. You need to basically see, hey, what are your goals? What are your missions? Are you guys doing local hirings? Are you guys doing workforce pipelines? Like, what is it exactly that your organization is doing? And how can we connect to make sure that I don't know, it can improve on both y'all's end, or we can make it bigger or better, or we could upscale it. So it's a matter of just having these conversations and making sure folks know like, hey, like this is important. We need to include this. We need to connect with these type of people because once we do, and you have those agreements, it's just a matter of then of just really pushing people like, hey, you want a new job? Hey, you want to learn a new skill? Great, come here to this CDFI. They're going to help you out with the job training program. It's part of they're in collaboration with a nonprofit that focuses on the green economy. So it's just a matter of creating those things and then moving those people there. So again, I'm a big person of like, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. This is, we're not reinventing, we're not making a big rocket for this. Literally, it's a simple thing of just connecting with people, making sure we're on the same goals, and just literally like, hey, all right, let's create a program. All right, cool. How do we start promoting this? How do we start letting folks know that this thing exists? So it's just a matter of just having those type of conversations. Okay, and let me go to the next question. What response have you heard from people who got green jobs by way of advocacy? That's a very good question. I'm a fresh hire, so I'm barely been here about a month and a half. But Tori, would you happen to know this question from, and excuse me if I say your name wrong, I'm so sorry, but it's oh, Alana, do you happen to know?
Can you,
Oh, I
before
was
you
gonna say
answer,
if you could repeat the question.
I was about to say, Miguel, as you answer the question, can you read it off out loud? That way we can have it in the recording as well.
Oh, okay. I'm so sorry, y'all. So the question from Balil is, what responses have you heard from people who got green jobs by a way of your advocacy?
I don't know that the climate investments team may be able to answer, but Tori, if you could maybe talk about some of the scholarship recipients and what they've been able to accomplish with the upskilling funding.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I was about to bring up. So part of our work for dream.org is we give out scholarships. I think in the last few years, we've given out over 500 scholarships. Lately, we've been having a directive to either be clean energy or green tech. And so they have direct tie-ins to upscaling or upskilling in green technology or the green workforce. And so I believe at the moment we've given out I want to say like 60 scholarships at about $3,500 to help kickstart people into this field, to get them introduced into the green economy, into these jobs. And so they're kind of just starting out, or as a way to further their skills. If they're already in construction, this might be an opportunity for them to upskill into solar panel installation. And so that's a very direct, direct way that we've had an impact of helping people upscale through our advocacy. And so for our advocacy campaign that we're going to be working on, we're going to be working more towards community change and not just like directly giving folks the money to upscale, which is still important. We're going to still be continuing to do that. But we're looking to help advocate for these communities to bring these funds to the local community so that companies, entrepreneurs can invest in these communities, build out, construction companies that are manufacturing solar panels in your community so that we can see more jobs come through to that. And so that's kind of like the larger picture of what we're working on for these systems to be changed so that those opportunities come. But for now, that's kind of like the direct impact that we've had through our organization. I recommend always going to our website in our opportunities section. That will be the best way to let you know when we have scholarships available if you're interested in being one of those ones to kind of upskill in green tech opportunities.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Thank you for the explanation, Tori. Okay, Laura, your question is next. Is there anything available to share with for local government officials on Green Job Available and or any type of already made community agreements, benefits, documents requiring local hires? I see that Anna basically has provided you with the link.
Yes, I can speak to some more information as well, if you guys would like me to.
Please, please.
So sorry, just to jump in, my name is Elena Lewis. I'm the Federal Policy Manager on the Climate Investments team with Miguel. And so since he said he's new, there are a few things that I can uplift as far as local government entities. So we are a part of the Local Opportunities Job Coalition, and I will share the link in the chat so you can see the external information. But we actually did some advocacy work about changing the uniform guidance around how local government entities are able to create jobs in their local areas. And so recently, the Office of Management and Budget released new guidance that will go into effect later this year. So we were able to adequately get those changes that we needed to give more flexibility to like mayors to be able to create jobs in their areas. So I would look at those external documents. And we're also going to be scheduling like information sessions to be able to uplift the changes that were made to local governments so that they can start to figure out how to better use federal dollars within their communities. There's also a link that I shared too, and I think it's the Infrastructure Hub. They've been a great resource. I was introduced to that organization at one of the mayor's conferences last year. And so they do a lot of presentations and provide information geared towards local government. So I think that would be a great resource for folks who are looking for information as well. But if you guys are looking for like more detailed information, anything like that, feel free to leave the questions, I guess with Tori or Miguel, and we can make sure that we provide the resources to you. We can probably point you in the right direction of what you're looking for.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, let me see. Oh, and Brian was mentioning that he's actually a recipient of those scholarships that we provided. So thank you, Brian, for being a real life example. We really appreciate that. And then next, again, I'm generally interested in the education training that dream.org does. So I'll be looking into it and interested in hearing how to build the training, media and people. Then of course, how to connect that training to communities that take advantage of it. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Okay, Brian, I think honestly, it's just a matter of really connecting with like your communications folks, really just understanding like what the type of messaging you want. Again, you know, I know with the climate crisis, like everybody's like, oh my God, like how do we do this? But again, I'm a big person of like, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We don't, you know, just keep it simple, short, and sweet. Because 9 times out of 10, most people are going to take it, you know, they're going to receive it as exactly how it is. And a lot of the times when you're providing this type of information, most folks will be like, okay, well, I'm interested. Like, I want to know how to get into that. How do I provide that? So I think it's just a matter of literally just having a simple plan, having a simple communication plan, focusing on that, and then just working with your team and your organization to just kind of figure out and how to execute it. Because again, it's not reinventing the wheel. Just obviously keep it short, simple, and sweet. That's another big thing that we love, short, simple, sweet here. But again, it's like I've always said, the people are out there. The people want to learn new skills. The people want new jobs. Like it's the inevitable. People always want to improve themselves. So it's just a matter of already creating that program, creating that framework, and then just pushing those folks along in there. Okay, cool. All right, cool. So it doesn't seem like there's any more questions. So I'm just gonna ask one more time if there's any more questions.
And feel free, if you can't think of your question now, always contact us. You can use our dream.org contact page on our website. I will be sending out an email probably within the next few days once this recording gets uploaded on YouTube. So I'll send this out in case anyone wants to review this information, as well as some of the links that were posted on here, so you can reference those later. And then all the contact information that was shared out in case any of that was missed. But feel free, if you come up with a question much later, you can respond to that email as well with your questions.
Yes, please. Again, I want to stress, please email me. Please, if you have any questions. Again, remember, we're not going to solve this alone. We're going to solve this together. All of us, each person on this planet. We have to. So again, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please email me. Again, I'm happy to have a conversation with anyone. And then were you going to say something, Mark? I'm so sorry.
Well, I was going to say one part of the green economy is native plant landscapers that help replace your lawn with native ecosystem. That's important for a green environment.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. I'm in total agreement right there. Absolutely. I believe that might be part of another like climate funding, but if you email me, I can find that info. I will definitely find that info for you.
Another
Okay.
hot one right now, light pollution is increasing 10% a year globally. And so that's part of the green economy, how to avoid having light pollution. And of course, that doubles the amount of mosquitoes, light pollution at night. It allows the nocturnal creatures to come back in like fireflies.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, I think again, if you email me, I will figure that out because I'm pretty sure the funding for that is there, but it's in a different pool. So for example, like the greenhouse reduction has like solar for all. There's another one that's for specific like investing in communities. So it's just a matter of really finding that pool and really working that language, and that funding will come out. Because you're absolutely right. You're not wrong. All of that definitely does not help the environment, does not help the climate crisis. So it's one of those things that we basically need to focus on. Okay, folks, so there's 3 minutes left. So any more questions? No more questions. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing the page.
Another very important green economy is reducing stormwater runoff. In particular, what I've succeeded on my job is we planted plants that have deep roots. So when the rain comes, they hold the water and release it slowly. But I mean, that's another example.
Oh, okay. What organization you're with, Mark?
Well, I was with the federal government at that time, but I'm also active right now with the Sierra Club.
Ah, okay, okay. Cool, 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 cool. I love Sierra Club. Okay, cool, 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 cool. Absolutely. Okay. No, actually, please, Mark, if you can, please email me. I would definitely like to have more conversations on that. I have a feeling, we can find that type of funding, especially with all the things you're asking for, because I also believe they play an important role. It's not just creating, a green economy. It also needs to be like an active role where we also actively need to save the environment, because that's like a big thing as well. Okay, folks. So I'm going to give folks back 2 minutes of their time. Again, I just want to say thank you so much for joining my first webinar. This was my first webinar, so again, I'm so sorry if I was a little nervous, but thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it, everyone. And please email us, please get in contact with us at dream.org. We really love to collaborate. We really, really love to just interact with other people. So
And I will mention really quick is that this was the first part one of our Indeed webinar series. And so part two will be coming out. I believe it's one of the last week of June. So once those details are live, we'll send it out for you guys to stay informed and continue to have these conversations.
oh, and thank
And
you so
good
much.
job.
I really appreciate the comments. But again, thank you. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. All of y'all have my email, so please go ahead and send me an email. All right, so take care, y'all.
Bye.